Hello and welcome to Update by Veg Economist. My name is Nadine Filko and I'm looking forward to navigating you through the next 45 minutes of in-depth knowledge seeking. Today we want to talk about cheese, or better, dairy alternatives, because actually they are the intersection of success and sorrow. To get started, I would like to share the most recent news with you, just to, get a bit of a hint of what the people out there are actually talking about. Okay, I guess that didn't work, but actually I wanted to show you some news about dairy alternatives, because we recently viewed that there was, for example, an listeria outbreak, or we have several new products out there on the market. For example, we have one product from Vegans, and I'm really, really happy to today also have somebody from Vegans here join us. Actually, we have all in all 4 people joining the conversation. Please go ahead, show your faces now so we can start off talking.
Hello.
We have Moritz Möller, Head of Marketing at Vegans Group AG. We have Lisa Mammen-Annas, Senior Manager, Business Acceleration and Innovation at DMK Group. We have Soros Tavakoli, Founder and CEO at Stockhold Dreamery. And we have Dr. Svenja Danewitz, CEO and CSO at Senara GmbH. I would like all of you guys maybe just to tell us a bit more about your work and how you are connected to dairy alternatives. Maybe Moritz, as I started off with Vegans and the most recent news, you can tell us a bit more about your work.
Yeah, hi, I'm Moritz. I'm CMO of Vegans, and we have several brands. Vegans is the most famous one, but as well Happy Cheese, a vegan cheese brand who is the market leader in the eco stores here in Germany. We have Milk for milk alternatives, and we innovate the vegan food industry for many years in the multi-category with cheeses, milk alternatives, meat alternatives, sweets, and snacks. And I'm happy to be here to speak a little bit more about the dairy alternative parts today.
Next to Moritz, we also have Soros. I'm really happy to have you here in this round because you can also bring in a bit of an international view on the market. Can you tell us a bit more about your work?
Yes, so hi everyone, I'm Soros. This is my second company. I had a software business before and then jumped into the world of cheese about 5 years ago. We make cultured cheese using legumes. And we have a cream cheese line and a cultured cheddar as well. We started out in Sweden where we do our R&D, but today we are commercially only focused on the US market, which is where I've been based for the last 2 years. So yeah, happy to share more about all the stuff we're doing.
Thank you, Soros. Svenja, you are also cultivating. You're cultivating milk. What is your work about?
Absolutely, yes. We are doing cell-cultivated milk. So that means we are using real animal cells that have the same function and maintain the same function in our bioreactor. So that means they are producing real, or something as close to real milk as possible. We've been doing this for 2 years, based in Freiburg. At the moment, this means we are, of course, situated in the European Union, but the markets that we may be targeting could extend beyond that.
And then, of course, last but not least, Lisa, you are from the established market, if you want so. Can you tell us a bit more about your work?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, I'm Lisa. I'm working for DMK, which is the largest dairy cooperative in Germany. And the last 3 years, I was a lead of the internal program on dairy alternatives in our company. And this was a cross-functional project for the B2C and B2B sales channel, with a target to enter the market of plant-based dairy alternatives.
Thank you so much, guys, for introducing yourself and your work. To start off, I would like to get to talk about these terms success and sorrow, because actually when we take a look at the dairy market, milk is somehow, you know, the product to start off for the transformation. And then there is cheese, and I guess you're going to tell me a total different story. But when I 5 years ago talked to the founder of the Germany-based Formo, they are doing precision fermentation for cheese. There were 2 people, and he told me, yeah, well, yeah, actually, we are doing cheese because it's a product that, that keeps people from not eating vegan. So where are we now after 5 years? And I mean, that company grew like hell in the last 5 years. Where are we now with the products? Can we say that it's not like they're not alternatives, but maybe out there are already, you know, products for their own, like an own market? So as we're talking about cheese now, maybe you can tell us a bit more about your experience.
Well, to that topic, I would be perfectly honest and say vegan cheese is still really vegan cheese still needs a lot of R&D. That's how we talk about it. It has a long way to go to convince cheese eaters that it's just you know, just good enough or just as good, or you know. So yeah, I mean that's I think the blunt reality. And I think there's some, we talk about plant fatigue in the market where consumers have been consistently overpromised, but you know, with under delivery. Oh, it tastes just like the real thing, or it melts just like, you know, dairy. You're not going to notice the difference, while in reality there are actually quite big differences. Now you have different products would have different gaps as well. I would say like a cream cheese is a much more much better product, even if you look at how it scores in liking, while comparing maybe to a pizza cheese, for example, a mozzarella, which maybe has the furthest to go. So those are just a few thoughts.
Can you tell us a bit more about your production process? Because I mean, I just said a precision fermentation, but there are so many different ways of producing these alternatives. How does your process work?
Yeah, I can show you a short video, which is not that centric on our production, but and our technology. But first of all, I live in New York, so I needed a photo from a yellow cab. It was a necessary thing to do. But basically, this is a 1-minute video. I'll talk to you a bit about us kind of making cultured cheese from plants. We've obviously been investing tremendously in R&D because, as we talked about, the cheese needs that. So as we had our products, we felt we had to really partner with the best bagel shops and burger shops in New York to really kind of get that credibility. And the same with the kind of most niched retail players. Vegan cheese continues to have a bad reputation, so we do a lot of marketing trying to convince people that it doesn't have to be that bad. And obviously I would have loved for you to be able to try it, but it's a bit hard over camera. So we have some reaction.
Yum! Delicious!
I can't believe it's vegan.
Delicious?
I didn't expect it to taste so good.
This one was so good. Yum!
Despite that it has probiotic,
I was skeptical, but it actually does taste like regular cream cheese.
it's amazing.
I mean, it doesn't taste like chickpeas or anything. It tastes like regular cream cheese.
Best sandwich I've had in the city so far.
He likes it and he eats dairy.
And I travel all the way around the world.
That's so good.
It's amazing.
So this is something did I stop sharing my screen now? Yeah. This is something we do a lot with the reaction videos, because it's a really good way to show people that it's actually tastes good and convince people to go give it a shot. So we from in terms of our technology, which was the question, we we see kind of this third wave of cheese emerging. We think the vegan cheese started with fermenting nuts. People did it at home, and then we were doing it maybe more in the larger facilities. And then we had the next wave, which was the kind of mixing fat and starch and adding some flavor to it in a more industrial scale. And that was really the vegan cheese as we know it today. That's been growing into about 1% of total cheese sales. So that's all the Violives and all the kind of leading products in the market are based off of that. And the total cheese sales, I would say alternative cheese sales globally has now stagnated. It's shrinking, it's growing in some markets, but it's more or less flat. And kind of we think consumers now, to attract the next group of consumers, we need a new technology, we need better products, and that there's a group of us we're part of kind of this next wave of cheese products that are all naturally fermented. And what fermentation and cultured, it can be confusing, but what I'm talking about is straight up you add bacteria to something similar to regular cheese making or regular yogurt making, and that kind of really transforms the product. So products that are naturally fermented, products that are using oats or legumes or more accessible ingredients, and that actually have a bit more protein as well, because obviously dairy cheese has plenty of protein, while dairy-free cheese usually has most of it has no protein at all. And this combination kind of leads to radically improved performance in terms of having more natural flavor profile and getting better melting or many other characteristics, and obviously the better nutrition as well. So that's kind of how we see now. It's too early to say that our products will actually create and attract a new wave of consumers. So, I don't want to say it's still just the story until, it can prove to be reality. But that's at least our perspective on the market and on the technology and what comes next. And one could argue the fourth wave will be, what Senara and Svenja are doing. But that might be a few years out.
And that absolutely touches naturalness. Svenja, as you're like doing working on a process that is perceived as quite unnatural, what's your perception on the market? Can you tell us a bit more about how you cultivate milk?
Yeah. Let me see. Is it working? Is it turning on the microphone?
We can hear you. I can't see you now at the moment, but if you have some technical issues, we could also start off with Moritz, because you actually are also working on a very innovative product I haven't seen before. It's actually a milk sheet, if you want. So can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, of course, gladly. We are always trying to find ways to make the food industry more sustainable, and that's why we're thinking very hard how can we change processes from the ground up. And we found a way to 2D print milk, actually. I can share you a little video, it's 1 minute, to get a little bit an idea of the concept, and then maybe I can tell you a little bit more about it. Let me see here. This should work. So our idea is basically to take out the water from the milk products and the milk alternative products, because they add 90% of the weight and the volume. And what we have is a product that doesn't need to be stored in a chilled area, and you can always make as much as you want. And compared to other alternatives that maybe are similar when you mix them, we don't use a process called to spray dry it, which is very energy intensive, and that's why it's even more sustainable Plus, also for logistics, it's 1/10 of the costs you have, which is especially in food service and also in the supermarkets, a game changer. People love it. You can even make cream out of it. And so, yeah, it's very convenient. And it's printed. So like you have your printer at home, basically it's the same principle applies. And yeah, we are very happy. We introduced it in the market 1 year ago. Now we are available at the drugstore chains in Germany, eco stores. We produce as well for Rewe the product. And yeah, we see a high demand and have to scale our production.
How was the perception of how was the market? How open were the food service companies for your product? Did they actually say, "Oh, well, this is what we're waiting for"? Or because if we go back to naturalness, I think this is quite, it's quite a step to have a cheat of milk at home or also in a restaurant.
Actually, for the food service is way easier to understand because they are used to these kinds of processes. And for us, it is, I mean, 9 pallets of Tetra Pak, and our product is 1 pallet. So the space saving is enormous. They don't have to throw unused product away because they can make the amount they need. And there it is very, very easy. And plus it is a gluten-free, eco oat milk alternative barista quality. It's very clean label. So for the consumer, actually, that's not at all a problem. It is doesn't have added sugars, so there's very low sugar. And it works very well in that terms of the adoption. Plus, now you saw in the video that it was blended, but you can also use a shaker, and which makes it even more convenient to make it at home. It's great for families because sometimes in the mornings the kids say, "Yeah, but I want cornflakes," so you can make a fresh oat milk. Some couples they say, "Yeah, but I don't use a whole bottle of 1 liter of milk alternative or dairy milk." During the week, I have to throw it away. This is a great solution for me. You can have it also as a subscription model online if you want, so you never have to worry again about having enough at home. Yeah.
Sven, are you also planning on making sheets out of your cultivated milk, or what's your next step for the market? Where are you heading at, and what's your process?
Well, so far we did not think about making sheets out of our milk, but I think there is a great collaboration to be had. So maybe that's something that may come up in the future. What we do actually is we are trying to stay as close to real milk as possible because we believe there is a big consumer demand for real milk. And the process in which it's produced is not ideal. So that is where we kind of started to think and innovate in our process. We just wanted to redefine how milk is made, but the end product we do not want to change. So yeah, we generally take cells directly from animals that can have the same function in our bioreactors as they would have in a cow. So it's kind of the cows become the deliverers of the cells and not the ones that deliver the milk anymore. That function is shifted to the bioreactors, and bioreactors are well established in the food industry. I mean, you use them for, in the widest sense for yogurt making, but also for beer brewing. I mean, it's a well established thing in industrial processes in the food industry.
And would you say this is what the market waited for? I mean, if we take a look, we have, of course, the traditional market, and I want to hear more about how important those products are for you, Lisa, as well. But let's take a short look on whether we actually need these cultivated milk, because we have so many products out there already. I mean, I'm overwhelmed when I'm in the supermarket and I take a look at the shelf, and then I don't even know which one to buy at the moment, to be honest. Why is it important to now have like real milk as an alternative?
Well, we believe that you do have a big choice in German supermarkets. There is a really big variety of different products that are close to milk or that are milk. But this diversity also stems out of the fact that consumers, I think, are looking for something that that provides them with a real alternative. So they are trying out a lot of plant-based products, a lot of products that are produced in a different way. There is, for example, the Weidemilch, so kind of like grass-fed cow milk, and this variety does not seem to fulfill the needs of the consumers yet, I believe. So 99% of the milk consumption really still is normal milk. So it's not the plant-based milks that you find in the supermarkets, which are the last 1% of milk or milk alternatives consumed. And there was always the idea that at some point, either these alternatives become as close to the normal taste as possible, or the consumers get used to this and really prefer having alternatives, which I think sometimes we do see for I don't know, in soy-based yogurts, for example, there is a real shift towards that, or oat milk. But for the greatest extent, people do still, or consumers do still, tend to stick to the things that they are used to. So if they want to bake a cake, they would not go for an oat milk. If they wanted to prepare some pudding, for example, at home, they would still use the normal milk and not a milk alternative. And I think that that kind of gives a big scope, or like a big opportunity for us, because we believe that milk, as we know it, may not be a thing of the future anymore, because of the impact on how it's produced. It's becoming more and more regulated, and it's becoming more and more expensive. So if you really would take a look at the prices of how much it would cost to really produce a liter of milk, it's not the prices that you see in the supermarket or the prices that farmers get paid. And there is a mismatch. And in this gap, I think we can make a big change, because we have an innovative process, but we have the same traditional product that everybody knows and loves. We don't have to convince consumers in that sense. As long as the taste is right and the price eventually will be right, then I think we're on a good path.
In a few minutes, you can maybe tell us a bit more about prices, and you guys also. But now I think Lisa is already waiting to say something about the market and everything you just said. Like, what role do alternatives play at your company? We need to. You need to turn on your sound.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Now you can hear me, hopefully. So yeah, we are a food company and a dairy company. So I think it's very obvious that our core business is milk. We are a cooperative, so our owners are farmers. But yeah, what is important for our understanding is that everybody thinks thinks about food per every day several times. So it doesn't matter how old the person is or in which generation they is born. And so as a food company, we see it as our role to provide healthy and high quality food in every stage in their lives. So, and we all know in the past years, there was a growing number of consumers who ask for plant-based food and alternatives, and they ask us if we can produce them, if we can provide it, if we can provide them. And so coming from this consumer-centric view, it was really clear for us to go into this plant-based alternatives market. And our understanding is that we, from our experience in the dairy business, that we know and understand the consumer, what he or she wants, the taste, the quality, and also very important, the functionality. And that was the main reason for us to go into this plant-based field. And just I want to add another point. We are talking a lot about alternatives, so products which are really similar to dairy products, but we have for many years now products in our portfolio without any milk for ingredients or for babies. So non-dairy in general was part of the company before we decided to go into the plant-based alternatives market.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for your view on the market. Before we now start off and talk about the future, because I think what's really interesting here is that we have so many different ways that get together here, so many different processing ways and production ways, and I would love to know, like, what do you actually think what the consumers want, not only in Germany, but also in the States. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about consumers there. And the audience, I want to tell you, please ask your questions. I'm open. I can see your questions here. So please feel free if you have any questions to the people joining this conversation. I'm happy to share them. Soros, can you tell us a bit more about consumer demand and maybe also about how maybe established companies work together with startups in the States?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the consumer demand, the US, the biggest difference between the US and Europe is the lack of climate dialogue, almost. Like it's just not really a broader dialogue around climate change and the impact that food has. I don't know to what degree actually people act on it in Europe, but at least they talk about it and it's in the news. Now being in Sweden over the summer, I open everyone's fridge, it's still all dairy. So but then people talk about it. Now the big thing that the big driver in the US is health, right? My personal health, what do I put in my body? So there's a lot of awareness around that, and that's where people have been quite worried about consuming dairy. It's not good it's not good for me, for my hormones, for my gut. I get bloated. There's these kind of concerns that people have had. And then on the other hand now, and that was kind of leading a lot of the drive towards from dairy to dairy free. And now it's been a bit more centered at, oat milk has a lot of sugar, that's not good for me. Or it's so processed, especially on the meat side, like, this is so processed, it cannot be good for me. And then obviously with the whole inflation that hit in, consumers are just way more concerned about price in general, which has again been kind of not so great for plant-based alternatives that end up costing more right now. So that's kind of a bit of the state of the US consumer. There's been this big boom for health, and now there's a bit of like, people are, I guess, maybe confused, trying to find their path, and then price playing more in. Our belief is we have to. We don't believe in this kind of one for one. You won't even notice the difference. It's actually a terrible thing. You bring something, and what to kind of what Svenja was saying, selling the exact same thing, only that it's made more environmentally friendly is not a great good enough driver for behavioral change. So we think you have to be much more proud of what you are and be full of rather than free from, because also a lot of the plant-based companies have been all about what they're not. Their whole identity is, and some companies' names are even not, no cow, no milk, no. But so we talk about what we're full of. We're proud of our Swedish heritage. We talk about the fact that the products are fermented. Our cream cheese has live probiotics in there. We talk about our ingredients. It's chickpeas and lentils or the legume milk. And then on the marketing side as well, we don't focus the marketing side on all of the things we're not and all of that, but try to be part of culture, try to be all about taste and somehow fit into the culture as you would do with almost any other brand. So those are some of the perspectives that we have. But I mean, it is a really tough time for plant-based, I would say, in the US as well. Sales, it is a small market and it's not necessarily growing right now, which puts a lot of pressure on companies like ours, who obviously we need to find our growth in the growth of the market, not stealing market share from our small competitors. Let's put it that way. But the belief is that the next wave of better products will kind of lead the way and then lead to the next wave of consumer adoption.
Connected to that conversation, how we can go the next step, bring the next product, and gain some parts of the market. There's a question from the audience. Is there a clear route for large dairy companies, example given Danone, to transition away from cows to plants or precision fermentation? It seems like we should want these companies to drive this, but if there is no clear route at realistic volumes and prices, then why would they? I think maybe Lisa, you can give us some hints on your view about this.
Yeah, I hope I understand the question correctly. So Danone has a really big brand with Alpro, so they has been really successful and a big market share. So Danone is doing a lot for that brand. But when it comes to the market and the changes, I can just agree with about what was said, because we also see the pressure for us and our products in the market. So yeah, we are a big dairy company, but we also have plant-based alternatives and are in the same field. And so it's difficult for us as well. And I think it all has to come from the consumer. So would it something change if we say we won't do that? But if we would say as a DMK, yeah, we want to be a plant-based company and nobody wants to buy the products, this wouldn't change anything. So I really agree on the idea of doing R&D. We're doing it on our own to improve the products in taste, obviously in taste, especially cheese, on a good price level. Price is also important, even if we don't want to hear it, but it is. And to convince a consumer to buy more or to start to buy alternatives.
Yeah, price is crucial, definitely. It's price and taste and texture. Moritz, you have a quite broad view on the market and a few years experience with different products. Well, how do you think we can go ahead and, go the next step, reach the next level to have a bigger share of the market for alternatives?
Yeah, I think first of all, we have to consider that what the consumers say in market research and what they actually do, there's always a gap. We know that, especially it's favorable to say, yeah, I live sustainable, and because it's nice to think of yourself to do that. But I think in Europe, we have a core consumer group that is like 20 to 30% of the consumers that consume sustainable products. They prefer them and they go for it, even if the prices is higher, even in the current situation, if they can afford it. But what we see in the alternative markets in general, like in all the other markets, is that there's a huge pressure because of the inflation and the consumers' spendings, especially in Germany, which is a difficult market because there's a lot of competition. Also among the retailers, price became the number one point in decision making for buying your products. And that led actually to the situation that in the alternative markets, we see a huge growth still, but mainly driven by the retailers' private label brands and not by the brands, depending a little bit on the sub-segments of the market. So if you look at cheese alternatives, for instance, hard cheeses and grated cheeses, they are bigger in volume, and it's difficult a little bit with the numbers because cheese is also vegetarian, and what you have as a numbers to separate vegetarian and the vegan, it's not so straightforward, but it's more driven by the private label brands. While it's soft cheeses, we have very strong alternatives here. We produce them as well ourselves, and I have to disagree with Soros here because I think that we reached a very high quality level, which is comparable. But the consumers have been disappointed over many years with, let's say, hard cheeses that are from coconut oil and they don't taste very well and they don't have anything inside. And so they lost a little bit the confidence and that what the promise is from alternative products in terms of a taste and what they can do. They are more suspicious. I think they learned a little bit along the way in the last year. So it's a very difficult situation for everyone and more for the alternative industries because they are smaller in market share usually. And because of the volume business, pricing, to have competitive pricing is more difficult to achieve. And you need to have, a shelf-based pricing. You need to be close to the private label brands. Maybe you need to be comparable, maybe to the non-alternative prices. Some companies had started also to put the prices lower for plant-based alternatives, like IKEA is doing, for instance. And so to increase adoption and say, okay, how can we push consumers further to try this? And you need more consumer trial. You need to explain the topic more. I mean, we are doing this for many years now to say to the people, okay, there is an impact on the climate. The way we eat 3 times a day. 1/3 of the carbon emissions we have globally, they come from the food production. Choose alternatives. You can make a difference 3 times a day. And not everyone knows that yet. And it surprises me because here in Europe, there's a lot of discussion about climate change, but still we didn't reach everyone yet, and people have reservations. That's why formats like Veganuary are very good at bringing new consumers on board.
That have been very, very many interesting insights into the market of the last year. And I'm very happy Vera from Rich Economist is actually collecting all these insights. And I would like to, once again, like in the last session, share the insights we have so far. Just so you know that we are collecting all of this for you guys later on. And after the session, we will share this with you, audience. And while we're taking a look at what she's already put down, I have a question for you, Svenja, from the audience. I was wondering, what is your milk production capacity per month? Thank you, and congrats to your work.
Thank you so much. Yes, so we are an early stage startup. We are kind of making, the first baby steps. So 2 years ago, we started with being able to produce kind of like the first drops of milk. And we have now scaled the production so that we can produce the first kind of glasses of milk in a reasonable time scale. If you looked at this fully scaled process at the current stage, if you were to fully scale it and run it continuously, you would come to production of, liters per year. But we do have great plans for the next couple of years. So by 2028, we think we can reduce the cost for the process to such an extent that we can really come close to something like price parity, at which point we want to have also the capability of having fully scaled. Of course, the dairy industry, the scales you're talking there are completely different dimensions to what typically is being done in the biotech industry. So instead of a couple of liters of milk, it would be millions of liters per milk, but then you are still on a small scale. And we have, for this purpose, of course, we want to make as much progress as we can. So we have commissioned the next scale bioreactor, which is a pre-industrial scale system. So that's a 500-liter system. And with this, we really think that we can already upscale the production quite a lot. But of course, that is, building bioreactors is not cheap. So we are now entering the first funding round. The next funding round is a seed funding round. And we need to wait with upscaling until we have closed that round. So that's kind of a little bit on the time scale, but we do have a newsletter on our website. So if you want to stay updated on our progress, please feel free to subscribe and then looking at the latest news.
Thank you, Svenja. Yeah, well, the last point you were talking about is having the money you need to develop. What's your perception on the market actually to have this maybe as a last discussion point before we then take a look at what your vision is for the market? How open are the venture capitalists and all the people out there putting their money into innovation? What's the market like at the moment? You're laughing, Soros. Tell us why.
I was gonna say who. Who, well, I mean, I think it's been very dark for the last 2 years. Honestly, it's just it's quite depressing, honestly, to talk to other founders, other entrepreneurs. It's depressing to talk to investors because they've also lost a lot of money in the companies they have invested in. Obviously, interest rates with you know, on the back of the inflation we've had is causing some of the troubles here. No, right now, I mean, it's both it's difficult in the market to actually, you know, be able to grow your business in a meaningful way, as I mentioned before, because the market is not growing as much, and there are on the food service side, for example, and in every household as well, there's focus on other things. Like I'm trying to save money. I'm like, you talk to a restaurant operator, they don't necessarily. There was a time when they were all like, "Oh my God, we're losing out. We have to bring in dairy-free options because this is an important customer group and all of that." Now it's like, no, like I'm about to go bust. I need to save money, and if I lose a few vegans who don't want to come to my restaurant, like, so be it, right? So it's difficult to grow. On at the same time, investors are obviously not that keen to put their money into these businesses that are struggling to grow. So it kind of goes a bit hand in hand. Look, that said, that does create a lot of opportunities, right? When there isn't that much investment, the ones that do invest obviously are able to grow. We have a lot of bad companies that have died. We have a lot of bad products that have been taken out of the market. So there's a lot of things that then open up space for the better products, for the better run companies. And we also had so much waste in the whole industry, with so much money coming in, so many deals that were bought, or different aspects of the industry that was just like inorganic growth. It was just like fake growth. So as a lot of that has stopped, that's, you know, what we see ahead is going to be much more real as well. Yeah, I said many things, but happy to dive further into any of those topics, because there's a lot to be said.
Well, what's your view on this topic?
Investors, yeah, I agree with Soros. It's very difficult market the last year, 2 years, and they are more cautious because some of the investments, they didn't turn out the way they were supposed to be. Also bigger companies, and yeah, plus the general economic situation makes them to be not to be able to invest like they used to. This is of course a main point. I mean, a lot of people are still interested in investing in food technology going forward, and there is also investment going on. We also closed capital round some days ago, but it's more difficult these days, and you have to have more proven business models, I think, in order to succeed.
Thank you for this view on a very important topic. To end this discussion now for today, because I hope maybe the people will go ahead to you and go into your bilateral conversations. Lisa, what's your view for the alt dairy market? I mean, Sonja said 2028. They might have their product out there, if I understood in the right way. What's your view? Where do you want to be 2028?
So we think that in 2028 there will be still dairy products, so animal proteins, but also plant-based proteins and precision fermentation cultivated in Europe. Yeah, we think it can happen that in 2028 we see products in the market. Depends really on the regulation. So yeah, we think in those years, 3 kind of protein bases will be in the market.
Soros, what's your view on 2028?
Oh wow. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot more. It's going to be a healthier companies out there that have built in a more sustainable way. I think the real growth will come as it will be much more expensive to feed the cows. I think that is ultimately like, and we're seeing that here and there where, you know, if you have, I don't know, X amount of cows and there is more drought, you just can't feed, it gets too expensive to buy food for them, right? So you kind of have to cut back on production or increase your pricing. That's where the real benefits of using the future technology, which is plant-based because it's way less resource intensive, that it is the only way to sustain life on the planet as we know it and feed the 8, 9, 10 billion people that's going to live here. The problem is, well, maybe the subsidies will keep it alive a bit too long. Maybe it's going to be a bit too late. But I think that's really when we're going to start to see the transition happen faster. I hope we will have, I mean, I don't hope we're going to have more heat waves, but we know this is the coldest year on the planet probably ever going forward, right? So, and we're seeing so many heat waves and other challenges. So, yeah, I think we need that to really see the next level of growth. I don't know if that happens by 28. And here comes the kids in the room, the future.
2028, next to the Nara milk, maybe in the retail shelf. I would love that. What is there to be?
Well, I see the future a little bit less dark, I think specifically also for the funding space. Yes, the last 2 years have been a bit more tricky than the hyperinflated growth from before. But what we see on our end is that, well, we believe there is a kind of a maybe reprioritization. You know, the necessities, they do not change that much in consumption levels. Yes, people can cut back on, you know, on the luxury items or anything that they perceive as luxury items, but everybody still needs to eat. And there are a couple of necessities, you know, there is water, there is milk, there is bread, and you cannot really cut back on those ones. And for this reason, I think we will still see a relaxation also of the funding space. I think there are already pretty good signs that this is that we're entering a much better phase than the last 2 years. There have been pretty big raises already for alternative, you know, food companies this year. So I believe there is a big relaxation in the market. Yes, definitely a prioritization. Not every company is going to get funding, but those ones that have a solid case, I think there will be in no difficulties to raise sufficient funding to really get those ideas on the market. But there needs to be a good plan. There needs to be, you know, a realistic plan, and that is, I guess, what we're working on. Yeah. I think that would be my 2 cents on that.
Moritz, do you have anything to add for 2028? Everybody having a sheet of milk at home.
Of course, but I think the main driver will be that consumer adoption for alternative proteins will accelerate because climate change will hit us even harder, and people will understand more painfully why that is and what they can do to change that. And yeah, people always will want to eat and to drink, but the raw materials maybe will become a problem, and that's also one of the drivers why we explore so much alternative proteins in the food industry the last decade, because we see maybe something is coming, and I don't want to create a dark picture. I believe there will be a lot of positive climate change mitigation, but it will happen, and this will change also markets.
definitely the market is changing all the time, and you guys are doing your best to push it into a good direction. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you also, Lademand, our sponsor, for making this session happen. And hopefully out there, the audience will join next time, next month, when we're talking about agriculture. Thank you for your time and have a nice evening.